So really, we've been exploring now for quite a while the notion of emptiness or no self, transcending the ego, or the ego, identification with the ego, falling away. So we've really kind of been moving from the notion that we're a somebody, right, an ego with all these wants, desires, and so forth, to really kind of being a nobody. So we've moved from being a somebody to being a nobody, you could say. And so it's, when the notion that I am something goes, then the notion that I am nothing arises. I am no thing. And the notion of emptiness can arise. And of course, this doesn't arise from the mind. From the mind's point of view, there are only things. So we discover more through our realizations and seeing directly from our experience that we are no thing. That's why I've entitled this Experiencing No Self, because it's not something the mind grasps. It's something that is seen through our experience. So we go from thinking that we're the ego, that we're this mind, this body, to seeing that we are the awareness that knows the ego, the mind, the body, right? So we can explore this. We can say, this is not what I am, but I am the awareness that knows these things. And when we explore this no thingness that I am, we discover that we don't have limits and that we're ever present. So we discover that we're not limited. And in a sense, we're infinite. We're not finite. So we're really transcending this attachment or identification with what for most people and go through their life thinking this is who and what I am, right? I'm these thoughts, I'm these motions, I'm these wants, these desires, this pushing away of what we don't want. So we've, and I hope you've come along with me on this journey as we've started to kind of empty out these identifications. And they don't go easily, right? We've talked about this. They don't go easily, but there's most likely a continuing emptying out process that goes on. Can get very subtle. It can also get painful when we discover where we're really identified. And I mentioned how we can be really identified with this whole notion of being a spiritual seeker, of wanting enlightenment or wanting insights and realizations. And then they can also be very subtle. So we really begin this journey by being a witness, kind of a witness. We practice choiceless awareness as we see these things just arising and falling away. And this taking the stance of the witness allows us to kind of see everything's just impermanent. It's arising, falling away. It's unsatisfactory. It doesn't bring, true happiness. It might bring some temporary happiness, but it's insubstantial, unsatisfactory, impermanent. So we start to disidentify with these things that we're noticing, that we're witnessing. And we see how craving and wanting things to be a particular way causes suffering. So we've in a sense seen emptiness. We've started to see the emptiness aspect. But the emptiness is not the totality of who we are. it can feel very liberating. It's kind of as the Buddha called it, it's kind of like unburdening or lifting a burden off of our backs. But eventually we start to sense a kind of disconnect from the richness of life, right? From the richness of existence. Start to disidentify with all these things that one was identified with. Start to go, oh, well, so what what do I do now? I used to have all these things that I that the ego enjoyed doing, and now I'm disidentifying. So now what? And you can start to feel this kind of disconnect with the richness of life. So we're kind of now moving from I'm nobody, or I am no thing, to I am everything. So we've kind of gone from I'm somebody or something to I am nobody or nothing to I am everything and everybody. In a very literal sense.